All right, YouTube, it is 2cent again, back with my 2 cents on Octopath Traveler, and we're here bright and early again on a Wednesday morning, which means new banners. So we're going to be taking a look at Xanit. This is editing 2 cent. It's Xanta. I don't know. Xanta. See if there's been any changes to his kit, just so we're, make sure. I don't expect anything to have changed, just because he was a pretty good unit over in JP anyway, but I wanted to make sure I do my due diligence of waiting until he was actually out to give you guys a video, so I didn't have to, make edits and pin comments, and I just didn't want to have to do that for another video. So we're waiting till today to make sure that we got the information right. So let's jump in and take a look at his kit. All right, so let's just take a look. I got the old skills kind of and stats kind of put up on the screen here from our resource that you can always look for down in my description for a link to the Google Sheet there. But over here we also have the new in-game sort of text for us. And just looking at here the stats, looks like absolutely nothing changed in our stats here. Let's start to look at some battle skills. Looks like we're going to have, looking down here and looking to see if there's any sort of differences. Absolutely nothing has changed. So it looks like we're going to have just the same character like we kind of expected. Let's take a look at the passive skills here. What I do like, and I just kind of want to note here, is that it does give this 30% to bow, but if we look back at this first with summon Hagen, we're having a chance to deal dagger and or like fan damage, one of those two. The AI will pick based off of how you kind of have that interpreted. We're going to put a video here just to kind of look at that as well. But what I like about our passives here is that we're giving that 30% up to both of them. And what's really interesting is that this is for bow damage and for the damage done by Hagen, which means that you can add some attack damage on top of these to get extra sort of, power from them. So this isn't a very common thing to necessarily have. We see this with a lot of scholars where they'll have their element being boosted up, and so then you can use some magic up, but it's not as common to see that with our physical attackers to get their 30% up, especially in the bows, if we're looking at our other bow users here. So this is kind of nice as a way of really kind of boosting his damage here. So I just wanted to point that out. Let's look real quick at the awakening here, and yes, it looks like the awakening for accessory is going to be the same, which for the people who are going to spend out there, or for later on down the road when we eventually pull, copies of this unit, I really like this. Inflict 15% bow defense down on enemies for the first 3 turns on combat, and then on break inflict another 15% bow defense down. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I am pretty sure that these things would stack together, that if you're able to break turn 1, you can get that full 30% for at least a couple more turns, and being able to extend that debuff. Please, if I'm wrong about that, I haven't played the JP, but from my understanding of how the buffs work in this game, this would stack to get you up to that 30%, and wouldn't fall off unless you're unable to keep up the break for those 3 turns, in between. So let's go ahead and take a look at see how he kind of stacks up versus our other kind of hunters out there, now that we've seen there's nothing that's changed about his kit. Alright, so what I have here is Hanet's and Scarecrow's kind of stats, just to kind of compare across the board here. We're going to get a little bit better HP out of him, about middle of the SP area, which will come into kind of play as we talk a little bit more of Xanta's kit. That is a little heavier on the SP, at least initially, before you get him completely leveled up. Now, looking at the attack, we are bordering to that 400 mark. That 400 mark is always kind of a nice area for a physical damage unit to hit. As you can see, it is going to surpass both of our two other hunters. In Scarecrow by a decent amount. 20 attack is a decent amount to be surpassing by, and just a little bit less for his apprentice here, Hanette. So as far as our sort of defense, he is going to come out a little bit ahead on the defense as well, which is kind of nice, because if you've been playing with Scarecrow, you know he can kind of get hit pretty hard by physical damage, so he's going to need to kind of have a strength there, whereas if you do, skip down to his elemental defense, it's on the low end of things. So definitely something you want to kind of keep in mind as you're running this unit, that he is going to need some more gear to supplement some of that elemental defense there. Now, elemental attack, he's got like the ability to do light damage, but as you can see, elemental attack is definitely not going to be his strong suit here. And then, looking at crit, he's going to be about midline between our two hunters currently. Not great, but not horrible. But that speed is going to be quite a bit slower than our other hunters currently. So just keep that in mind when you're thinking about kind of breaking priorities and who you want to do the big attacks and, who you don't want to do the big attacks. Alright, so we can see here from like the kind of, trailer video they had, we have this Summon Hagen who's going to be able to come out and either deal this kind of dagger damage, it's a 2 times there, or it's going to be able to come out and do a full-on AoE as a fan attack. And it seems like the computer kind of, gets to choose that when you choose this ability. It might have something to do with if you're targeting somebody specifically who can take that kind of dagger weakness, that it perhaps will then choose to do that versus the AoE fan one, even if there's somebody else out there that can take that damage. So that might be a way of kind of maneuvering it around. If you have some experience with these abilities and you want to kind of give some tips on how to get it to maybe do what you're looking for, please comment those down below. So as far as the rest of the kit here, I think basically what you're going to be looking at is this 5 times bow random target. It has a 70 SP cost, and looking at his SP pool, that doesn't give you a whole lot of opportunities to use this during a fight without some serious SP regeneration. So that's why we're looking at once you get all the way to, I think, level 100 to be able to lower that down to 56 is going to be pretty nice. But we also have some other things in our kit that we can kind of take a look at. As far as the light AoEs, like we said, not going to be something that you're going to super be looking for, because his elemental attack is his trash, area. So, and these are only one-time hits, even though they are AoE, and we got a chance to blind. Probably not going to be something you're prioritizing in your kit. I would recommend the 5 times bow random target. Obviously, this works out really well when you're fighting a single target enemy, and that's going to do some really good damage at 55 power. But if you're kind of worrying about the SP, you can bring along your 1 bow single target, 230 power. That is going to be a nice nuke as well for that only 32 SP cost. So that will kind of help out if you're struggling with keeping the SP up for the unit to then break the next round, just, depending on how long the fight is going on for you. I do want to point out, as we're looking forward to this unit, of the special here's 2 times dagger, 1 fan AoE, and 1 kind of bow, a little bit of a nuke here at 230. I think that'll just be kind of an interesting, nice little piece of things to have later on. So let's kind of compare this to our other units here, just to kind of get an idea of maybe the usefulness compared to the other hunters. Alright, so we got Scarecrow up on the top left, and we have Hanette down on the bottom right. And just kind of looking at the passives first, you notice that neither one of these have the 30% bow damage up. They do have some other ways of kind of damaging up on their kits. Scarecrow specifically in break or dealing a crit. And, for Hanette, only when she's calling out her companion. So already we're going to have a nice little advantage for Xanta to get some extra, power in there, along with the heavier attack that he already has. And so if you're able to kind of stack some other additional buffs up for attack up for him, you can see where he's going to be able to really hit pretty hard compared to our other two here. We can also tell that looking at Scarecrow's kit, who has his 4 times bow AoE, but it's only at 35 power, and really he doesn't have any real solid nukes in here. Looking at his 170 one bow single target sort of bleeding ability, the lacerating one. That 170 power isn't going to be anything compared to the 230 that we can at least do guaranteed over for Zenta. So looking over at Hannett as well, we're having a easier time. She does have that one bow single target guaranteed crit for 230 power, but I think what we're finding here is that we're going to have a much better bow AoE sort of experience with our current hunters, and Zanta is going to fall into that kind of realm of single target kind of what do we want to call it, expert, and so be able to like deal more single target damage than the other two units that we currently have as far as hunters currently out there. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Are you guys going to be pulling? I currently don't suggest pulling, just because this is another unit that's going to be coming to the banner. If you already have one or both of these other hunters, yes, he can be an improvement, as we just went over, and can help fill that kind of niche on your team for those single target fights, and he will be viable and useful for a long time for that. But I just don't think that we want to spend a whole bunch of rubies for this particular unit. But, you know, I say that quite a bit when I'm looking at, you know, standard banner units versus ones that are coming to our, you know, that are going to be limited. So anyway, let me know down below. And that's been my 2 cents.